So good morning, this is morning of Saturday the 7th of August. Officially this is day 9 of the project, although it's actually only day 5 of construction. I think you can see in the background quite a few things have changed. So this little update is going to just show you what's changed, and as I say, if you're thinking of doing your own project in Thailand, we're going to show you a little bit of how and why we're doing things so that you can decide, as I said before, if you want to do it just like us or absolutely not like us. Now the first thing you can see, these are the column posts that are going to be our walkway. Now these are full height. We're actually going to cut these down to the height that we want and then put planks and a handrail along the side of them. Now the reason why we need a walkway is because we're building our domes in a rice field, and rice fields are designed to flood a little, and the reason why they're designed to flood a little is that rice can grow in water but weeds cannot. So if you want weed-free rice fields, then what you do is you dig them down. So as you can see here, you can see that the rice field is actually dug beneath the average surface of the land. And what you then do in the growing season is you then let your rice field flood. A couple of inches of water typically is all you need. That kills all the weeds and you get those beautiful, beautiful weed-free rice fields. Now what we want is to maintain and keep the beauty of the rice fields, so it's part of the experience of coming here, but we don't necessarily want you wading through inches of water just to get to your dome. So that's why we're going to have to build a walkway. These pillars I think are about 2.5 meters. We don't want the walkway this high. It's going to be approximately here, so at some point we'll get the cutter out and chop the top of these. Now, by the way, we really wanted to do a bamboo walkway. We've seen some beautiful pictures of bamboo walkway, particularly in countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, China. Absolutely stunning, beautiful. They really have a sort of a naturalness to them, a certain harmony to them. We really wanted to use bamboo. The difficulty with bamboo is when you use bamboo for construction, it can last either 6 months or hundreds of years, depending on how you treat the bamboo before you use it and how you construct it. And the difficulty here is in Thailand is, even though bamboo grows quite freely and is all over the place, there isn't anybody in Thailand who is set up to treat bamboo ready for construction. Now, for me, that's a massive business opportunity because bamboo is really becoming a very popular building material. And if you don't believe me, there are some stunning, incredibly beautiful buildings, hotels, restaurants, houses, schools, sports grounds that are being built out of bamboo. And we look at these and we think they are absolutely stunning. And if you don't believe me, please Google beautiful, stunning bamboo house, school, hotel, whatever, restaurant, and see the pictures for yourself. They're absolutely stunning. So to me, it seems an irony that Thailand has this wonderful natural resource, yet nobody is treating the bamboo properly for construction. The way you buy it here, you buy what they call green bamboo. You just buy it, and you stick it in place, and typically the way that they do it, they put it in place, they spray some pesticide on it. I'll talk about pesticides in a moment, and then you just replace as it breaks. Now, we don't want to do that because we're just a small resort and we don't have the time, effort, money to keep replacing bamboo. So we wanted something sustainable, and we tried really hard to find somebody in Thailand that was selling properly treated bamboo. And the way you treat bamboo is 3 ways. First of all, you need to treat it with pesticide. And the reason for that is bamboo is high in starch, and bugs, particularly things like termites, they absolutely love eating bamboo. So you've got to get that starch out. The second thing, you need to dry it properly. If you don't dry it, and the reason why you need to dry it properly is because bamboo is high in water. And what that means is if you don't dry it before you use it, when you put it in place, it's going to dry in the sun and the heat, and it's going to crack and bend, and whatever you built is going to fall to pieces. So you need to dry it properly. You can either dry it in big ovens, which takes like a day, or the other thing that you can do is you just dry it naturally in a sheltered, shaded area over a month. The other thing is when bamboo lasts hundreds of years, it's because it is kept out of the sun and the rain. So if you look at bamboo houses, they all have very big roofs that are really sort of overarching to keep the sun and the rain off the structure. So the other thing that we have here is, obviously, you're building a bamboo walkway. we would need to waterproof it and add a UV to it to make sure. And if we did that, most likely our bamboo, if we did all those things, most likely our bamboo walkway would last 10, 12 years before we had to start thinking about replacing it, which would be great because then the time and money we put in, we've got the time to make the money back before we need to invest in replacing it. But as I say, the difficulty is there's nobody in Thailand that's actually preparing or treating bamboo ready for construction. You can buy it, you can literally pick it up for next to nothing in Vietnam and China and these other countries, but when we try to order properly treated bamboo from other countries, the cost of shipping, the cost of tax was just prohibitive. So we think we might use a little bit of bamboo for decoration, but we very sadly had to reject the idea of using bamboo or creating a bamboo walkway. So the first thing that we're doing here, as you can see, is we're using column posts. Whichever way, if we were using a bamboo walkway, we would have used column posts for the base anyway, because we don't want the bamboo coming in contact with the water in the rice field. But basically what we're going to do, we're going to build metal beams along this as a frame, and then we're going to use wood planks. Probably we're going to be using reclaimed hardwood, which is readily available around here and is reasonably cheap. But we're a little bit sorry that we're not getting the beautiful bamboo walkway that we thought about, but if we have any spare cash, we do now have the idea or the business opportunity of buying some land, starting to grow bamboo, and your return on investment for bamboo growing, by the way, is just 5 years. So when you're using bamboo for construction, it should be at least 5 years. So basically we put some fill, planted some bamboo, which goes really rapidly, really quickly. 5 years we can start chopping it down, treating it properly, and then using it either for our own construction or selling it to other people. But I think there's a massive opportunity in this country, Thailand, for bamboo. It's all over the place. It grows really quickly, really rapidly. It's really easy to grow as well, and yet nobody's utilizing it properly. So this is coming up to where our decks are going to be, and what you can see here is all the columns for the first deck are now finished. Now, I just counted these, by the way, and I just think it's a good job that I'm not superstitious, because what I've just worked out, we have 13 columns. Fortunately, that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything to me. But you can now see how these columns are actually finished. So here you can see the concrete foot. So in there is the square rebar we showed you before. That's been caked in cement. Put that in. It's had the rebar column fixed to it. That has then had casing around it, and we've poured cement into it and left the cement to dry. It takes about a day. What I've seen is they generally take the casing off after a day. Now I'm going to see if I can just walk round. Where am I going to walk to? Swaddy crab! Now all of these holes, I think I'm going to walk around here. Now all of these holes are going to get filled back in with soil. We don't leave them like this. But one thing I just wanted to show, I'm just going to come to this one because it's quite close to an edge and I can get to it, is there is absolutely no movement on this. Right, I'm putting all my 78 kilos of weight on this. I know 78, I could lose a few of those, but I'm putting and pushing really hard, but there's absolutely zero movement. So these columns are absolutely solid. Just to show you, I'll give it another go. Absolutely, there isn't a single millimeter of movement in these columns, so they've done really, really well. Now, just to show you, by the way, this is a column a little earlier in its evolution. So what you can see here again, that the column foot is down there, the concrete stride, and what we have is these casings that go around the columns, and then we just pour the concrete at the top until it reaches the top, and that's it, it's done. Now these casings are great. When we originally built our villas over here, these casings were only just becoming available
in this part of the world for use, and you had to buy them. There were a few places renting them, but they never really had the supply. So what we actually had to do, and this was the old way of doing this, is we bought a whole lot of eucalyptus wood, chopped the wood to size, and created our own cases out of wood. And that was really expensive and wasteful, because you could literally use the wood once and then you had to throw it away. With these casings now, most of these construction companies just buy them and they use them again and again and again and again on each and every project. And the good thing about these is they take seconds to put together. Literally, it's just you're just tightening them with a screw, and then when the concrete's dry, then you're just unscrewing them and they come apart, and it takes seconds. And obviously, because they're reusable, there's a lot more sustainability here, as well as cost reduction. But what you can see here is, this is where they've been pouring the concrete in to the height that we need, and it's just been left there overnight to dry. It looks like this one's got a little bit more drying to do. Now these, by the way, are concrete rings, and you may say, why am I showing you concrete rings? These are going to become our sewerage. So all that stuff that you've eaten and drunk, and your body puts into the toilet for you, it's going to come down, it's going to go through these concrete rings. Now these concrete rings are really cheap, they're only about 120 baht each or something. But what we do is we create what we call like a spray field. So coming out from the dome, there'll be a series of concrete rings linked to pipes, and all that stuff that comes out your body is eventually just going to seep back into the ground. And we use these on our villas, and we've been doing so for 7 or 8 years. It's a really cheap, effective, and natural way of just recycling stuff, and it really does the soil a lot of good. In our garden, where things really grow mightily, is the areas around the spray field. So this is a really cheap and effective and very, very nice way, good way of recycling human waste.
So that's the end of my updates for Saturday, August the 7th. I'll do another update when we're several steps ahead, I think, and you can really see the changes and how everything is coming together. But otherwise, we're still on pace. We've got about a month yet before the dome tents actually arrive here. So I think we're going to be so far ahead that we're going to have to pause at some point and wait for the dome tents to arrive before we finish off. But other than that, it's another beautiful, beautiful, hot, sunny day here, which is great if you're a tourist and you've got nothing to do but sit in the swimming pool and drink cocktails, which is the whole point of this resort. Not necessarily drinking cocktails, but sitting in the pool and enjoying it. But it's going to be another hard day in the field for these guys. So I think my wife Shannon and I are going to go out and buy them a case of beer and a few other bits and pieces, and big buckets of ice as an end of the day refreshment, and a big thank you from us because of the wonderful, speedy job that they're doing. But looking good. Budget-wise, we did a budget assessment yesterday. We're a little bit over on a few things in terms of how much we thought we would need. So we're using a little bit more gravel and sand for the concrete than we thought that we would need, but that's really cheap and doesn't really impact the budget. We're using a little bit more rebar than we thought, which is a little bit more costly. So we're a little bit over budget there, but where we're over budget, there were other areas that were under budget. So thankfully, we're still in control of the budget, and so everything's looking good, but still a long way to go.